Ladies and gentlemen, I am one, and this is the best DLC in Borderlands 3. Whether you're here for the best story, the best loot, or some more information on what each DLC has to offer, I've got it covered. Before we get into the rankings, let's quickly talk about what each DLC brings to the table. There are 4 main story expansions, plus additional content like the Director's Cut and the Designer's Cut. Each DLC has its own vibe, from wild heists to mind-bending madness, and they all come with unique bosses, gear, and locations. Starting off with Moxxi's heist of the Handsome Jackpot. This is the first DLC for Borderlands 3, where players join Mad Moxxi on a mission to take over Handsome Jack's abandoned casino. The casino is filled with loot, enemies, and traps, all left behind by Jack's legacy. During the DLC, you'll fight through waves of loader bots and deranged gamblers while encountering quirky new characters along the way. The DLC features a mix of high-energy heist action, tongue-in-cheek humour, and plenty of Borderlands 2 nostalgia. Notable items from the DLC are the likes of the Lucky 7, Zane's Seeing Dead class mod, and Moses' Green Monster class mod. Guns, Love and Tentacles is DLC 2 and centres around the wedding of Sir Hammerlock and Wainwright Jacobs on the icy planet of Xylorgus. Things take a dark turn when a cult obsessed with an ancient monster crashes their celebration. During the DLC, you'll team up with Gage the Necromancer to battle tentacle hentai horrors, navigate eerie gothic environments, and take on the twisted cultists. This DLC blends creepy, atmospheric storytelling with humour and action. Notable items from the DLC are the Soul Render, the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, and the Old God. DLC 3 is Bounty of Blood. This western themed DLC is set on the desert planet of Gehenna. Throughout the story, you'll take on the role of a bounty hunter tasked with taking down the vicious Devil Rider gang terrorizing the town of Vestige. The DLC introduced a narrative-driven storyline, a new customizable vehicle, the Jet Beast, and an interesting and thrilling antagonist. With its blend of Wild West antics, sci-fi elements, and cinematic storytelling, Bounty of Blood offers a fresh and exciting adventure filled with tough enemies, exploration, and plenty of loot. Notable items from the DLC are the Light Show, Beacon, and the Unkempt Herald. Psycho Kreig and the Fantastic Fustercluck is DLC 4. This takes players through the chaotic psyche of Psycho Kreig. Tannis believes the key to understanding the insanity of psychos lies in Kreig's mind. So, during the DLC, you'll venture into Kreig's twisted mental landscape. The DLC features wild, surreal environments, bizarre enemies, and plenty of over-the-top action as you explore Kreig's dual personalities. Notable items from the DLC are the Plus Ultra Shield, the Convergence, and the Major Kong rocket launcher. And lastly, DLC 5 and 6 are the Designer Cut and the Director's Cut. These introduced new gameplay content, including the arms race, additional skill trees for each Vault Hunter, and a massive raid boss called Hemovorus the Invincible. Notable items from these DLCs are the Plasma Coil, Blade Fury, and the Free Radical. Now, ranking each of these DLCs is difficult, as each one brings a unique piece of content to the game and everyone has their own preference, but nevertheless, coming in at last place is the Designer Cut DLC. Arms Race is a very limited piece of content that lacks replayability, and the randomness can make it really difficult to find the items that you're farming for. In 5th place is the Director's Cut. As with the Arms Race, the Director's Cut is a very limited piece of content. However, the items available in this DLC place it slightly above the Designer's Cut. 4th place I've given to the Fantastic Fustercluck. This DLC had so much promise and an interesting story, however, because it was developed during the pandemic, it feels really undercooked, and not to mention the terrible Evil Lilith boss fight. In 3rd place is the Handsome Jackpot. While the DLC is good, and the story is entertaining, and the nostalgia is always a welcome feeling, the DLC underperforms when it's compared to the other options available, especially when it comes to weapon variety. Now the runner-up must go to Guns, Love and Tentacles. The storyline is filled with humour and charm, and the eerie setting adds something new to Borderlands 3. The bosses running up to the end of the DLC are really interesting, and they're really different from anything else we see in the Borderlands. That, accompanied with some of the better items available, make it a solid runner-up. The only downfall is the really disappointing final boss. And finally, the best DLC in Borderlands 3 must go to the Bounty of Blood. The narration storytelling is engaging, the antagonist is one of my personal favourites, and someone I hope to see return in Borderlands 4. This, alongside some of the best weapons in the game, make it, in my opinion, the best DLC for Borderlands 3. Now, do you agree that the Bounty of Blood is the best DLC? If not, let me know in the comments down below. How would you rank each of the DLCs? And thank you very much for watching.